Mary. Mm-hmm. And that alibi that they were barbecuing ain't holding up.
There's video out there on that county line road.
Yeah.
They weren't there.
Uh-huh.
Tell you what, that saves the victims a lot. There's some future victims.
Yeah, well,
Alderman McComb, that sounded like you.
that's me, sir.
Okay, very good.
We're getting audio good at this point, so.
Okay,
I'm
great.
gonna go around and replace my dog.
Okay.
I'll be back afterwards to pick all this up.
All right, Brian, thank you.
I can't see it. I don't know what he's up for. He only wants to do what he wants to do. I can't, at least I can hear it.
All right, as we have some folks joining the conversation, if you can mute your phone if you're not going to be addressing the city council to keep the background noise down, that'd be great.
This is a mess. Somebody's on here that's got their speaker on.
So is that a TV?
It is.
Okay, I'm like, sure, hopefully that's not
Other
real.
than that, it's really good action.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds normal for what we hear though on our calls.
I'm going to try to get Brian Manwaring to log on and just disconnect the caller that is giving us all of this background noise. So just bear with me as we try to get things put together here at the start of the meeting.
chapter online.
Thank you, Harold.
Eric Kennedy's online.
Thank you, Eric.
Barb Hughes is online.
Thank you, Barb.
Gloria Campos online.
Hearing you loud and clear, Gloria.
Tim Lee's online.
Got you as well, Tim.
Scott Evans online. Mike Baskin online.
Heard you both loud and clear, Scott and Mike.
Patrick Glasson online.
Thank you, Pat.
Mayor Ed Eller's in by phone.
Thank you, Ed. Gina, the audio in here is being just picked up by this laptop microphone. So you may have to be a little bit louder for them to hear you, because I'm not sure how well this is going to pick up from distance. So
Okay.
anyway,
I'll be louder.
just letting you know.
Okay.
All right, it's almost 6 p.m., but I'm going to give us a little bit of extra time just to make sure everybody gets checked in. That's going to get checked in. It looks like I maybe see John Urbis has checked in. John, are you there? Well, as I said, I'm going to give it about another 5 minutes to make sure that everybody's able to, as best as possible, get the technology lined out and get logged in.
Mayor, I'm here.
Thank you very much, Jance.
Aaron Mills is on the call, Mayor.
Thank you, Darren.
Jason speaking.
I believe that's Jason Bach.
Yes, this is Jason Bach.
All right, we'll get our meeting underway here shortly, and we'll be with you in just a few.
Fantastic.
Okay. Are you ready, Gina?
Yes.
Okay. All right, it's about 6 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting of the Murphysboro City Council to order, and at this time, I will lead us in a invocation. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, and thank you for this opportunity to come together once again as a city council and as concerned members of the community and city staff. We pray that the decisions that we would make tonight would be honoring to you and would be to the best of the community as a whole. And we pray, of course, for everyone impacted, I should say, by the continuing issues with the coronavirus. And as always, we pray for our troops overseas and here at home. In your holy name we pray. Amen. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we call roll, I just want to say I know that these types of meetings are not the best, and I will do my very best to call out the motions that are made in advance so that everybody can hear what it is we're voting on, and just bear with me as we try to get through here as clearly and concisely as possible. And with that, I would ask Clerk Hunziker to please call the roll.
Alderman Hughes,
Here.
Alderman Curry Witzman,
Here.
Alderman Brown, Alderman Brown.
Here.
Okay. Alderman Pearson,
Here.
Alderman McComb,
Here.
Alderman Urbis, Alderman Urbis, Alderman Bratton, Alderman Bratton, Alderman Bastian,
Here.
Alderman Campos,
Here.
Alderman Pittman, Alderman Pittman, Mayor Stevens.
I am here. W.J. Pittman did just text me and say he's having a little trouble connecting, but he is working on it. So we will hope that he's able to get connected. Okay, again, we get into our agenda this evening. We start with the consideration of council minutes from November the 10th, 2020, which is included in your packet. And I'd entertain any questions or amendments to the minutes at this time. If there's no questions or amendments to the minutes, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved, Alderman McComb.
Alderman Bratton. Second.
Second.
Is that Danny?
We have a motion by Mr. McComb and a second by Alderman Bratton. And I'll call for a voice vote on this. I believe we'll all be in favor, but all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries. Minutes approved. The next thing that we have is the consideration of accounts payable registers. We have, I believe, just one list this evening, list number 76. And I'd entertain any questions on the bills.
Alderman Bratton, I have a few.
Go right ahead.
Okay, page 2, Cummings Mid-South LLC. What was that on?
Well, that was the generator repair at the fire station. Danny, this is Barbara. I called about that today. It's a generator that was, I believe, at the admin office. And that was the service call, the parts, the labor, and all that.
Okay. Thank you. On page 5, what was this tarp for? Was that for salt? For $570.95?
What page are you on, Mr. Bratton?
Page 5.
I see a tarp there, but it's for a different amount.
I've got $720.95.
I do see that one.
Yeah, that's exactly what I got.
That is wastewater treatment.
That tarp is for our mechanical bar screen that we have to cover during the winter months down at the sewer plant. Ours
Okay.
had a few rips in it that had to be replaced.
Okay, I have a few more. On page 6, the very last line, level B suits.
That was purchase of level B hazmat suits from the fire department. That came out of spiller pays.
Okay, on page 8, Steve Wilcox, it says final pay. Is that correct, Sandra? Is that the final pay, or are we still holding retainage?
This is Leslie. I'm filling in for Sandra. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. That is the final pay. Sandra and I went through all payments last week, and that is the remaining amount out of the $100,000 for the grant. That check will be held until Darren signs off that everything has been done.
Okay, that's what was thing. That was my question. On page 9, I have a Yates awning for Sissy's Memorials. Is that awning, was that put up today?
That is also a check that we wanted to go ahead and get in on this check run. It will be held until that job is done as well.
Okay. Just 1 second there. Thank you, that's all I had.
Thank you, Mr. Bratton. Are there any other questions on the bills? All right, hearing none, is there a motion to pay the bills?
Make a motion to
moved.
pay them other than the 2 line items that Danny wanted to till the jobs were complete.
All right, we have a motion, and I believe from Mr. McComb, and a second from Mr. Bratton to pay the bills excluding those two. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, thank you very much.
Aye.
That takes us into our regular committee and commission reports. Up first, under Budget and Finance, chaired by Mr. W.J. Pittman, and I'll turn it over to him. W.J.
Thank you, Mayor. Under old business, we have update on Mobile Ranch issues. And I guess I will ask Attorney Heller if we have had any response from them as far as the letter we sent.
We're advised by Catherine that they've paid their water bill current to date, and at this point, so far as we know, everything's current with them, and that would be, I think, our
in the last couple of days. So, I mean, there's probably another bill en route to them, but they're current.
Okay, then, Mayor, do you think we should continue to keep this on the agenda, or is it something that we can be notified by Ms. Volley if it becomes an issue again?
It would seem like to me that we could take it off the agenda. If they're current, then they've complied, and we can continue to just monitor it as you suggest.
Does anybody else have an issue with that? All right, so under new business, we have presentation of financial reports by Scott Evans, Budget Officer. Mr. Evans.
Thank you, WJ. Okay, so what I have tonight was in your packet. The first thing I'll talk about is the expertise. So as you see, for this month of November, our voucher amount was $59,910. That's about $4,000 or so higher than this time last year, and it exceeds the monthly November average by about $7,000. So another good month there, and I think we should easily hit our target revenue there by the end of the year. So that continues to be a nice surprise. On the next page is the general fund operating expenses by department versus budget. So through the 10 months, general fund has spent $4,217,000 and change, and for that same 10-month period, we expected $4,657,000. So we're actually $440,000 under budget at the moment. And then at the revenue, on the revenue line, we have brought in $4,696,000, and we have budgeted $4,658,000. Therefore, we are slightly over budget in our revenues through the 10 months. If you'll remember, that had been under budget for most of the year, but then now you're seeing the property taxes start to kick in and kind of kick us over the top there, so that's good. So bottom line is that it's currently a surplus of $479,537 through the 10 months. And so we were budgeting for break even, so we're ahead right now. So with most of the year under our belts, just a couple more months to go, so we'll see where that ends up. The next report is the healthcare costs. Of course, we like to talk about this since it's a huge part of our budget. And through the 10 months, between the general fund and the water sewer, we have spent $453,715 on all the pieces of the healthcare costs, which includes, of course, the premiums and the HRA, co-pays, deductibles, and the other items you see on that report. And so I still think that we should be probably close to $100,000 under budget, which is a big contributor to the fact that we were 400 and some odd thousand under budget in our spending on the previous page. Basically, 25% of that savings is right here in the healthcare, which is we're happy that that's the way it is. So we always try to budget as high as we can on that because of the what-if scenarios there that can happen pretty quickly in healthcare. So it's nice to see that we're contained there. And probably I won't go into great detail on the salary budget. That's another reason why we are under budget in our expenses is because so far we have been under budget in our salaries, which of course is the biggest line item. So that continues to be under budget at this point. Of course, that will catch up a little bit with November and December being months where there's holiday pay, so that will help bump that number up closer to what our budget amount is. So, but I think we're in good shape on that too going forward. And lastly, I just want to give you a snapshot again of where the various loan balances are. So the first page is general fund. So Currently, we just have the two loans out there. We still have the dump truck loan, which of course just started last year, and it started out at $48,120, and right now currently it's at $31,156 with the November payment this month. So we basically have 23 payments to go on that. So just a hair under 2 years. And then the extrication equipment, which was ironically $1 more than the dump truck, which total coincidence because it was in 2 different years. So, but anyway, and we have a higher interest rate on that. So, in a longer period, we financed it over 5 years. So we have 55 payments left on that, but the balance is down to $44,445. So total loans owed by the general fund are $75,601. And I thought it was appropriate to give the water and sewer loan balances this month because we just paid the semi-annual EPA loans for the Walnut Street water line and the so with those payments, our new balance on the Walnut Street replacement is $1,073,000, which will be 28 more semi-annual payments, so essentially 14 years to pay off. But we've already paid, as you can see, around $300,000 of that down. So that's nice. It'll be nice to get that below $1 million. It'll be a moral victory, I think. On the wastewater treatment plant, we borrowed $14.5 million, and right now with the new payment, it is now down to $12,074,000, and there will be 31 more semi-annual payments there, so about 15.5 years left on that. And then the only thing left in the water and sewer department is the pickup truck that we purchased just a few months ago. Original amount was $35,527, and with a few payments paid, 5 payments exactly, we now owe $32,814. That also was on a 5-year payment plan, so we have 55 payments left. So that's all the reports I had tonight. So are there any questions on any of those things?
All right, thank you, Scott.
Yep, my pleasure.
All right, next item is update on Kerwood PACE financing. Mayor, is that something that you are going to update us on?
Yes, I can do a part of that, and we have on the line with us this evening Jason Bach from Solar Alliance New Yen. He is, of course, the leader of that group that is working to develop the Kerwood facility. And so I think first what I should do is turn it over to Jason to give us a few updates on where that stands as we've worked collaboratively to try to make that happen. So Jason, I believe you're still on the line with us. So I'll turn it over to you to share with us whatever you would like to share.
Thank you, Mayor Stevens. I am online, and I'm lucky to be watching the live stream as well. So I am available to answer any questions during this call by voice now, or if anyone wants to text something, please do so in the live stream chat. Thank you, Aldermen and women, for letting me address you during your council meeting. This is an impromptu and general update of the project. As you may know, we are developing a data center at the former Kerwood building and have been working towards this in New Yen Enterprise Hosting for the last couple of years. The property was originally acquired by Solar Alliance and sold to New Yen Enterprise Hosting. New Yen is a purpose-built vehicle to develop this into an operating data center, tier 3 data center with about 10 or 13 megawatts of grid power from Emirates, as well as 4 megawatts of solar on site. And we're excited now as we're progressing and finalizing our final designs that we'll be able to share some of these designs with you shortly, and get the city's comments and feedback before we progress with the final permitting. The data center is a model where we are building infrastructure that will provide a hosting for companies potentially from all over the world, hopefully from all over the world. And we're happy to say that we've begun discussions with 2 tenants already. Our model is that we provide the power, we provide what's called the bare metal rack space for people to put their servers on or use our servers to host their apps, their software, their AI, their autonomous driving. It's a center of computing power that is in a lower cost area relative to St. Louis or Chicago, and the benefit of that is that it conveys a lower cost to companies for hosting their computing equipment. And that's a concept that's taken shape over the last few years as the industry has gone to what's called an edge computing model. So not being in the city centers where all the demand is, but being outside of the city centers. And that's, over the last few years, has taken taken our imagination by storm and showed us how we can implement this in rural Illinois, in Murphysboro. And what we often say to groups that we're dealing with be it project financiers or potential investors or tenants, is the goal is to move Silicon Valley out of Silicon Valley and into a cost-effective rural space. So our model is to own the asset and to develop the asset and then lease out space in this data warehouse, essentially to potential tenants. And as I mentioned, we're in discussions with 2 tenants, which is a video game company, which wants to build a very large video game network, and a low-cost hosting company that would provide a competitive service to Google Cloud. So these are 2 potential tenants that will occupy the building, and we have potentially dozens, if not 100 potential tenants that will be able to utilize this space. So we're excited. At this stage, we don't usually start disclosing or talking too much about tenants, but I thought it was important so that you understand our model, that we let you know that there are a number of groups that will be using this space that we're building in the data center. One aspect that really appeals to tenants is the green aspects of the building. We see this as being a important visual statement of how green energy can be utilized in a microgrid for a large electricity using structure. And that appeals to a number of companies that are trying to meet their green obligations, be it from their users or their stakeholders or their investors or their boards in relation to using green electricity. We've been working with a team of contractors to finalize our designs and our construction costs over the last few months. We think we are going to have all of that work complete by the end of February with final budgets in hand. And in tandem with that, we're also organizing our financing. And I understand that you'll be having a PACE information session today, PACE being Property Assessed Clean Energy, and the group that is providing PACE financing for our project has provided us some information that we've conveyed that will hopefully explain in much more detail than I can of the PACE structure that will be ideally utilized for part of the financing on this project. The project is a $40 million project currently. We expect that number to fluctuate a little bit, but not too much. And we are hopefully going to be at financial close for this project in Q1 and Q2 of next year. And I'm hesitant to put a firm date on it. COVID obviously can change things, but we all seem to be progressing with as much certainty as we can at this stage towards construction next year, which is exciting for us. And we thank you for your patience and working with us to this point. We've had discussions with Senator Durbin and expect to have more discussion on that over the next week or so. With his support, we've had discussions with Representative or Congressman Boss, who's also offered his support, and we will be working with others across the state in a bipartisan way to bring support for this type of project. We're excited for it. We think it's going to be a figurehead for what can be done in the Midwest, what can be done in Southern Illinois, and we're hoping that we see more projects being built like this in the future that have a strong exposure to solar power and to renewable energy. So being self-sufficient for their needs. answer any questions. And again, if anybody wants to send them via the live stream, that's an option as well. Mayor Stevens, is there anything else that you would like me to address?
I don't think so. I appreciate the update for the council. You and I talk often, but it's good to hear from you to the rest of the council so that people know that it's still a project that's in the works. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the PACE financing, but it is a concept that I have went over with Scott Evans. I've forwarded a sample ordinance to the city attorney today for them to review so that they can raise any questions that they might have. Essentially, it's a financing that attaches to the property tax assessment to help facilitate clean energy projects, and it wouldn't involve the city having to finance anything, so it wouldn't put the city on the hook for anything, but it would help, if we passed an ordinance creating this district, it would help them access some financing through the Illinois Finance Authority and the USDA and some other things. So that is to come, and that's really what I wanted to share tonight about it. Any other questions from the council on the project, or Jason, anything else you want to add?
I don't think so myself at this stage. What I would like to say is that we hope to engage more with the council over the next few months with designs and the aesthetics and the layouts for the facility and the grounds around it. We think it's going to be attractive. We're excited to show the town what we can do with this property and what a developer can do with the right amount of forethought and support. And a lot of that support has been coming from Mayor Stevens and yourselves over the last few years. So thank you again.
All right, Jason, thank you very much for that update. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Alderman and Webb.
All right, that's the last item under new business. Is there any public comment under budget and finance? Sounds like we can move out of budget and finance now.
Thank you very much, WJ. That takes us to Building and Grounds, chaired by Mr. Gary McComb. Gary?
Okay, thank you, Mayor. There's no old business, and under new business, it's a discussion regarding installation of security measures at the Dom building. Mayor, we talked to the girls up there what they want. Has anybody sit down with the 4 girls we have working?
I have sat down and talked with Catherine Volley. I have talked with Sandra Ripley. Leslie and I have not had, I think, any discussions about it. One concept that I shared at the last city council meeting was the upgrading of the wall along the area where Catherine and Denise work and where the majority of the transactions take place with the public, and sort of building that up and putting in a couple safety windows. And Darren Mills did get a estimate together for me on doing that, and it was around $3,000. So that's sort of where I stand in this process.
So I was wondering, are we going to fix the doors where they can buzz somebody in or not? If they're having problems with somebody, they don't have to let them in.
We did that same thing at Public Works, and I'd say that we could definitely do that up there. That's not a particularly expensive thing to add on.
No matter all our other buildings are pretty well, even the police department, you walk in and see anybody, you got to pick up a phone to talk to them or tell them what you want. And even your office up there needs to be made safe.
Well, I think
Mayor,
that
are you talking about the construction? Are you talking about like making a little foyer area like there is at Public Works now, where with a window and where people have to be let back through there?
what I am describing is there's currently a separator on the south side where Catherine and Denise work, and it would be raising up that wall to where it was the same height all the way along and putting in a true door and having a couple of kiosks similar to where you would buy a movie ticket, say as you walk up to a movie theater, to just provide some additional separation. That is what Darren's quote to me would. That's what I was pricing out.
What are we doing to protect Sandra and Leslie in your office?
Well, the concern that had been brought up was from Ms. Volley and, her department in a sense, and Sandra had expressed more of wanting to keep that area more open, and so this was just based upon the feedback that I had gotten, but I think we could almost just duplicate what we're doing over there on the other side, double the cost estimate, and probably enhance the security greatly.
I think we should put everybody, even your office. I mean, you're going to you and Catherine catch a bunch of complaints, but we never know this day and time when somebody's going to come in there and take it out on the girls. I know they've had problems in the past with a few guys, and I know the police department's only a couple blocks away, but if they're in a situation where they can't get there for a while, we need to have it where the girls in your office is all safe when nobody get into them. I mean, we might have to spend a little more money to do it, but we need to make it secure.
I think.
Alderman Nicole, Mrs. Berber, may I speak?
Go ahead.
I truly agree with you. I think if we're going to protect the ladies on one side, we need to protect the ladies and mayor on the other side. You all know that I don't want to spend a lot of money on these old buildings because eventually I'd like to get everyone together. But, $6,000 if it would save a life. I mean, Leslie's out there in the open all of the time. And if we're going to protect Catherine and Denise, we need to protect Leslie, who is out in the open also. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Gary, this is Gloria Campos. And to the mayor, actually, do we need a motion to move on with these safety measures at the dump building?
I don't think we're quite ready for that because of the fact that we're still closed due to COVID. We don't have an imminent concern at this moment, and if we're thinking about doing some additional things on the other side, we should probably get with Darren and look at what the real design of that would look like and do a little further consultation with Leslie and Sandra so we know that what we do sort of meets the workflow that they deal with daily.
Okay, then let's just move ahead with the research and let's put it on the agenda whenever it's ready before we open up to the public, because we will open.
Yes.
I also think, maybe this is more of a, I think that we need to talk about the door buzzers. I think we need some kind of estimate on that. And that could even be done before we open it, because there are people that do come in or that they have to let in. It would be nice to know how much that costs.
I will get that estimate together.
Thank you, Mayor.
We
Alderman
actually
Cole?
need, yes, go ahead.
Oh, this is Dan. I would think that the outside door on the west side there could be unlocked, and you build a cubicle there that you have to press a button to unlock it. And that could be done, and the other side could be done if the council so wanted to, while you're planning the side for Leslie, the mayor, and Sandra. For Sandra had a little more protection. She can close her door, but they can break a window, the glass there and go through. But that would be my suggestion.
The only thing, I mean, we're not going to be open with this culvert going on. We're not going to be unlocking those doors and letting anybody in for several months. I mean, we got time to plan this out and make it as safe as we can.
Correct. And then also give Darren and his crew, I take it they're willing to do the work, to do that work and get it done, which is a huge savings. That's all I had.
Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
Well, Mayor, I guess we can look at this a little farther down the line and figure out exactly what, we want to do. I like to see everybody safe, One thing about buzzing somebody in, like the police department or anybody else has got, would be nice to the girls too, and you.
I appreciate it. Well, let's hold it on the agenda, and I will get with Darren as I had before with this other update, and we'll see what other things we can do to make sure we get it right.
Okay, is there any other alderman got any discussion on the security measures at the Dome building? Hearing none, is there any public comment on building and grounds? I think, Mayor, we can move on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McComb. That takes us to Community Relations chaired by Mr. John Urbis, and I believe John is on the call. John?
Thank you, Mayor. We have no old business, new business. I did want to ask if there been any updates to the Pine Christmas Town ceremony?
To the hometown Christmas ceremony, is that what you said, John?
Yes.
Well, I did talk to Emily Isert today, and I know that the Christmas tree was delivered today, and Public Works helped get it put up, and I know that they are getting the lights turned on, and I think that their tree lighting ceremony is going to be essentially just a virtual event. I don't know what the details of that are, but Emily Isert, when I talked to her today, said that that would be a quote-unquote virtual event. I don't know the details of that, and that sounds different than what they had presented before.
Yeah.
Hey, Mary, it's Alderman Bastion. In the packet, there is a letter from Tanya and Emily, and there is a Christmas tentative plans, and they've got everything listed out with what their plans are. It was in our packet.
All right, well,
I think that was from the last meeting, wasn't it?
I believe it was, yes.
Oh, was it? Then my apology, maybe I missed the last one because I was down with COVID. Maybe they just included the
Are we still connected? It looks on my end as if the screen is frozen up.
I was just curious to see if there was anything new. Otherwise, is there any public comment?
There is one.
Yes, Nicolette Dolan here, if I could spin.
Sure, go right ahead.
We had a great survey of the property and really only one small section of fence to enclose the community garden. There is one section of fence that's missing from the west side of the building. It will be completely enclosed with about 40 feet of fencing. There's also the top bar and the posts that are missing from the one section of fence, as well as two gates that previously were connected to the fence and are no longer there. One is a 4-foot gate and the other, it looks like it was for a 6-foot gate. So if the Murphysboro City Council would be able to assist us with enclosing that area, we will be able to make use of the existing fencing with just this small amount of help. And this was in regards to the community garden that I proposed last couple weeks at the last meeting for help with topsoil and fencing in the location.
Is there any?
Pearson here.
All right, go ahead.
Go ahead, Bill.
Okay, can we actually do something on private property? I don't think the city is, has any sort of authority to put a fence on private property. I think we need to look into that before we get too far along to promising we're gonna do something, because I'm not really sure we can legally do anything on private property.
I don't think we can. I think we've been down that road once.
We've been down there before and it didn't work, you know.
Well, I don't know if our attorney has a thought on that or not.
I didn't hear what the purpose was for putting the fence.
It is to help facilitate a community garden to keep, I suppose, deer and whatnot out of the space.
As a soup kitchen and charity thrift store.
Well, so, okay, thank you. Thank you. Mayor, I would say that you have the ability as a council to make a financial support to a community organization on many different fronts. And this may be one where you can do that. We would have to look at that closer. I don't think it's something you would have to reject out of hand. I don't think it's something you can prove out of hand.
Nick, Mayor, may I speak? This is Robin.
Sure, go ahead. I'm having a little bit of a network connection issue.
Nick,
So.
Is, now Spin is nonprofit, isn't it?
Yes.
That is correct.
Okay, so they're a 501 or whatever that is. So it is it's not like privately owned, well, it is privately owned, but they're classified as a nonprofit organization. It's not like putting it on, and I know that you won't like this, Mayor, but it's kind of not like doing the Mayor Stevens Memorial Wall. That was my private property. I'm sorry to bring that up, but it's not the same. It's not the same concept as that was, because this is a nonprofit organization.
If the council would oblige, this is Scott Evans, this would be very similar to what we've done for many years with the Liberty Theater and with other organizations. I don't see there'd be much of a difference. In that instance, we gave them money for many years specifically for the marquee. We didn't take an interest in the marquee. We just gave them money for a specific cause. So I would see this being in that same ballpark.
This is Alderman Bratton, if I could say something. Oh, go ahead, Ed.
No, you speak.
Okay. I'm not opposed to this, but I do think that somebody needs to check what the cost on this and what she's wanting for these gates and stuff, so we at least know a dollar amount we're voting on. It's not like that they're going to put the garden in next week. So if we can find out before next meeting, then let's vote. We can vote on it then, but I would like to know how much money we're going to spend on it.
I did
That's
do
all I
a
have.
preliminary, just looking on Lowe's at how much this type of section of fence and the 2 gates would cost. And it is approximately $250, but there are probably some hinges and other things in there that I don't know are necessary. But just as a rough estimate for the roll of fence and the 2 gates, and then the posts and top bar, it's approximately $250 a month.
Yeah, I may, this is Dan again, I may stop out there and take a look at that.
Well, it would be my suggestion that we do go ahead and, Alderman Bratton, if you want to go take a look at that, and then we can compare maybe some price estimates, and then we can get it on the agenda and decide if we want to make a contribution to help make that happen.
I will do that.
Thank you.
Mr.
Mayor, I think,
Mr. Urbis?
unless there's other public comment,
Yes, this is Scott Satterley. I got something to speak about.
Muted. Unmuted.
can hear that.
Yeah, this is Scott Satterley. I think I'd like to speak for a minute.
Go right ahead, Scott.
Okay, all right. Yep, for those of you, I'm Scott Satterley. I'm one of the volunteers for the Boy Scouts of America in Murphysboro. We have 3 scout units here in town, and normally at this time of the year, we have one of our biggest events, and that's our Scouting for Food program. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we weren't able to do our traditional cook bags out one weekend and come back a week later and pick those bags up in the Murphysboro Food Pantry. Typically, in 2019, we collected 4,000 items for the Murphysboro Food Pantry. Last weekend, we did a drive-by drop-off trying to help the food pantry out. We collected 1,100 items, so we're still drastically lower for the food pantry and food that they were kind of planning on having and they didn't get. So I'm here to see if I got 2 requests for the city council. The city is, one, can we put a drop box on the exterior side of the Dom building on the west side? It'd be a workmate container with a sign on it and a lid. We will pick food donations up until December 13th, and when we pull it, then we will pull the container. And the next thing is, can we have a food drive, a stuff to tent food drive, right there at the Dom Center in the parking lot where we want to put a tent up. And all day Saturday, we're looking at December 5th, or we can also do it on December 12th. No, can't do it December 12th, December 5th. And have a food drive all day long and see if we can help the pantry make up some of that shortage.
Unmuted.
Just hoping that we can get the support of the city for that.
Well, I, for one, would definitely say that you could put a drop box up at the Dom building in terms of using the parking lot for some sort of event as to help raise food funds or product for the food pantry. That's good. Just like everybody else, though, I would like just to see a plan that's approved from the health department that just signs off on it and says that they are good with how you plan on operating it. And if we can see that, then I'd probably be fine with it.
Okay, I mean, the Greater St. Louis Area Council, the BSA, does require us to file all of the local requirements regarding COVID, which means we will not be able to group larger than 10. Right now, we have to look into the guidelines and rulings to see if the scouts can even help us. It might be adults only, but yeah, I can contact the health department and get and see what their thoughts are on it and get their approval and forward that on to you, Mayor.
That would be great if you would do that.
Mayor, it's Alderman Bastion. I just wanted to add that I think both of his ideas are a great idea, and I support that 100% as long as the health department approves it.
Mayor, this is Barbara. I agree with Mike. Also, on the 5th of December, the tentative schedule for Hometown Christmas has markets that are going to be all over town on that day from 10 to 5. It may be that he could work with them a little bit to try to coordinate with them when they have these little markets in varying places.
Yeah, we can look into that too. If it's an issue with being on city property, which I totally understand, we can also find a local business on Walnut Street to help us out. But yeah, I will contact the Hometown Christmas because that just makes it even better for us to collect.
It may, sir, it may just really help you with marketing it or getting the word out. And I agree with Mike. I'm fully in favor of it if we can get the health department to say okay.
I could do that. When we have our major camping events, we have to submit a proposal and get approval. So yeah, we can do that, and I can forward it on to Mayor Stevens. I'll contact them tomorrow and see what we can do. I appreciate the council's support on everything.
I appreciate your efforts in this, and I would support it as well.
Thanks for bringing it to us.
Yes.
No, thank you for the opportunity. I'm just disappointed that, we're only a fourth of the way towards our donations from last year. And I know it's going to make it even harder for the food pantry this year. That's why we're trying our best to help them. We have put out some drop boxes around town. St. Andrew's Church has a drop box. We've got one at Dollar General. Of course, there's one out at Wrights. We're putting one out at Wrights on Friday, and there's one at the food pantry. We also have them at Gorham Community Center, Sandridge Baptist Church, and St. Anne's Catholic Church in Rattle. And I just got a message that we might be getting one at the real church too. So I appreciate it.
Very good, thank you. Mayor, I think we can probably come out of community relations then.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Urbis. Appreciate that. That does take us over to public improvement, chaired by Mr. Mike Bastian. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor. We have nothing listed under old business. Under new business, we have the discussion regarding ordinances into junkyards. I don't know if Eric Kennedy's on the line there, or if you want to take that over.
Yes, at our last meeting, we talked about a junkyard operated on North 19th Street and some issues that have been brought to our attention about spillage of fluids on the roadway and a fence that was rather low with razor wire across the top of it. And I know that Eric was going to do some research concerning that ordinance and also investigate the situation there. So Eric, I did hear you on the call earlier. Do you want to address that issue?
Sure. I did talk to the young man who owns it, the property. He has new gates ordered to be taller. He doesn't like them as low as they are either. So he's got that plan to, like I said, to put bigger gates on it. He's got the paper to cover it on the inside. He did tell me what happened, which I didn't know about, was the oil being spilled out on the road. He said he was out with his machine and it blew a hydraulic hose is what happened this last time. I'm assuming that's what everybody was talking about. He did mention that some of the problems may be taken care of itself, that he may be buying into a new business or another business, and he would not be doing what he's doing out there. So that is in the plans as of a couple days ago.
So Eric, and if he does take the other option, whatever he's going to do, is he going to close that down, is what you're saying?
Well, I think what he was saying was he would not be doing what he's doing now. He didn't really go into any detail necessarily, but he wouldn't be doing exactly what he's doing now.
Okay, thank you. So, do we have any aldermen have anything else that they would like to add to the discussion?
That's Alderman Pearson.
Yes, Alderman Pearson.
Okay. Eric, do we have a junkyard ordinance now after the fiasco they had on the guard side before? Did we never have a junkyard ordinance? Was this gentleman, when he went into business, was his aim to be a junkyard, or was he aimed to do something else? I can't believe we let a junkyard inside the city limits.
No, he was supposed to be doing something else.
That's what I thought.
He did not.
So he's
did not fulfill
what he was going to do to begin with.
He yelled. Yeah, he did not fulfill everything he said he was going to do.
What can we do about that? I mean, that place is a mess. He's got, well, you've been out there. He's got stuff stacked everywhere. There's stuff running out of the, I'm sure there's oil and antifreeze and gasoline all over the lot out there. No doubt there's all kinds of vermin in the place. The neighbors out there, I know a couple of them that aren't very happy to begin with when that went in, but I didn't think that originally it was supposed to be a junkyard. And I think he's violating what he told us to begin with.
Right. I mean, if the city council wishes, we can go towards shutting it down.
It's Alderman Bastian. I have to agree with Alderman Pearson. And also, Eric, can we not call the Illinois EPA in to investigate that? I mean, I have been in there too serving papers for the county, and it's a mess. And as Alderman Pearson said, there's all kinds of liquid and oil and stuff just all over the place.
I can certainly give them a call and see what they want to do about that end of it. Sure.
I think one other thing
I think it would be worth.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, Mike, go ahead.
No, I'm done. I just said I think it would be worth checking into with the Illinois EPA.
Well, and I have a suspicion that part of his business is to take parts off of cars and sell them, and I highly doubt that there's, being any kind of sales tax charged on those transactions. So I think that there's a number of issues with that operation that could be called into question. And I agree with Alderman Pearson. The fact that we even have a junkyard operating at all is just doesn't seem right.
Mayor, Ed Heller checking in. We have a junkyard ordinance, and our junkyard ordinance says that you cannot have a junkyard, any part of a junkyard, within 500 feet of the boundary of a residential district. And that property, as I understand the map of that property, cannot be a junkyard because of where it sits. And so you can start issuing citations anytime.
Well, do we want to make a motion this evening to pursue that route? I mean, I would entertain such a motion.
I'm not sure how to word it, but I would definitely make a motion to get that thing out of there. Somehow we have to start the legal proceeding to get it cleaned up.
The motion would be for notification to them for violation of section 40-5-5.
Unmuted.
You can work that out.
I would second that.
Okay, so it's Alderman Bastian. So Alderman Pearson, do we have that motion made by you?
Yes.
Before we vote on this, can I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Does that, issuing him that citation, does it give him time to shut down operations before any fines and stuff are issued? Or does the fine come with the citation?
WJ, what happens there is the fine, the citation subjects them to the fine.
Muted.
We then, as the situation proceeds, we work out fine and situation is resolved.
Okay. I just mean
but you start off by just assessing.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off then.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, we've already gone to him since we've known this was a junkyard and told him to invest in putting, stuff in the fence to keep it from being visible. And I agree that we shouldn't allow a junkyard in city limits, and we should move with trying to, stop that. But I don't want to go after him then on fines on something that, has been an issue for a while, and without giving him an opportunity to shut down, we try to get money out of him. So if there's no fine with the citation, I'm okay with that.
Unmuted.
What happens there is that, you assert the position, if the position, asserting the position results in compliance, and what needs to be cleaned up is cleaned up, oftentimes we back up. But if you don't assert the position on the day out the gate,
Muted.
then you don't have that leverage.
Right, and I agree with that.
So yeah, Sam, you know that.
Unmuted.
And a lot of this junk come from South 17th.
Gary, I don't have any answer as to where the various junk has come from. I know that he operated a similar situation down on South 17th Street some years ago, but I don't know that this is the same stuff.
Oh, I think he moves, well, I'm sure he's accumulated more, but I know that he come to the council, if you remember, quite a while back, and him and his girlfriend, and I know he moved that stuff off South 17th, and all we did was move it from one spot to another, but I know he's been putting stuff in there ever since, too. I think you should give him a notice of so many months to get it cleaned up and out of there. Without fining him and stuff, give him a citation, tell him that he's got so many days, months, or weeks, whatever you decide on, to get his stuff out of there. Because I know this boy's probably making his living through there, and we've had a blind eye to it ever since he put it in there. And to come down on it too heavy right off the bat, we ought to give him 30 days or 2 months to get all his stuff out of there.
I agree with you, Alderman.
Mayor? Hi, this is Gloria, and I am totally agreeing with that. Right now, I think we all are aware that we are living difficult times, and everybody is scraping to make a living. And for us to come and say there is a citation to move out when we ask him, if I'm not mistaken, in the last 6 months, to cover up the fence so people won't see it. I don't think it is the right way, the human way, the decent way for us to act. I understand the law, and we all try to obey, but we also need to have a little bit of compassion. If we give him a letter and tell him that he needs to shut down this kind of business because he is in violation and we don't want to issue any citations, and then give a frame of time, a time frame, I think it will go better with us. I will feel better voting that way, but I agree that a citation needs to be issued, but not right now. Not without a warning. After we ask him to comply, to cover the eyesore that this location is.
This is Alderman Bratton. Can I say something?
Sure, go ahead.
I think Eric's had a lot of problems with this guy.
Muted.
At first he was doing what he said he would, and then the last quite a few months he just kind of turned his nose up, because I've talked to Eric about this exact problem and other things too. So I think that send him a notice that he needs to have it cleaned up and moved out by the end of the year. And if it's not, starting on January the 1st, we'll write him a citation every day.
Well, I'm sure our
Because
ordinance
if you don't, it will never get done, in my opinion. I hope I'm wrong on that, but I don't think I am.
Unmuted.
Mr.
I
Pittman,
don't
did,
think the ordinance says.
defines how we have to move forward as far as issuing a citation and what his notice would be, correct, Ed?
Yes.
Okay.
It's 30 days and all?
Yes.
Okay.
But our notices requirements, we actually have the authority
Muted.
to require an immediate cease and desist. So, we also have the authority to demand less.
I'm muted. Muted.
Yes, we have the authority to do it the way you're suggesting, folks.
This is all,
I'm muted.
sounds like to me the council wants to move forward on it, but give him time and give him notice before we start issuing citations. Is that correct?
That's what I'm
Just
hearing.
all, Brett, and that's my opinion. Just because somebody else doesn't act right and do right doesn't mean that we need to fall in that same category. I think 30 days should be sufficient.
Agree.
So there was a motion and
I
a
agree.
second. There was a motion and a second on the table. So I think it sounds like what we're going to do is different than the motion and the second. So are the people that made that motion and second willing to withdraw that so we can make some other motion?
Bill made the motion.
I'm in.
And Barb, didn't you second it? I guess.
Yes, I did. I'll be glad to withdraw it.
Okay, if they both withdraw that, Attorney Heller, could you restate the motion, what we just discussed, for one of them to make a move?
So the motion needs to be that the city attorneys send a notice to the owner of that property that he is in violation of our junkyard ordinance, which I'll speak of as junkyard ordinance, and that he cannot on that property have that kind of, and that he's required to clear that up within 30 days. So because we are the 24th, and so we're not going to do anything anyway, why don't we say December 31st, and we'll send up. And so the motion is we send that letter, and after that letter, if he doesn't comply, we sign it.
Thank you, Attorney Heller. Do we have a motion?
I will make that motion, Mike.
I will
We have a
second
motion by Alderman Pearson, and I believe we have a second by Alderman, was that Barb that made that motion? I couldn't hear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Alderman, you made the second as the motion. Do we need a roll call on this, Mayor? Or?
I don't think we necessarily do, but we certainly can.
Okay, Attorney Heller, you think we need to do a roll call, or?
Claire, with our video and our telephonic, they recommend that we do roll call votes on any significant motion, just for clarity.
With a motion and a second, could we have a roll call, please?
Alderman Hughes.
Yes.
Alderman Curry-Witzman.
Yes.
Alderman Brown.
Yes.
Alderman Pearson.
Yes.
Alderman McComb.
Yes.
Alderman Urbis.
Yes.
Alderman Bratton.
Yes.
Alderman Bastian.
Yes.
Alderman Campos.
Yes.
Alderman Pittman.
Yes.
Okay, with that being said, the motion carried. Do we have any other questions or comments from the
Muted.
public improvement? Do we have any public comment? With that being said, we can close public.
Unmuted.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bratton. That takes us to Public Works, chaired by Alderman Dan Bratton. Dan?
Okay, there's no old business,
Muted.
but I think this is old business. It's under new business. Consideration of expansion of wastewater infrastructure on Country Club Road. I thought we had discussed that last meeting.
Unmuted.
We did discuss it at the last meeting, and the only thing I have to update on it is that the developer would like to present to the council at our next city council meeting. And so he is preparing materials for us to consider, and so I would say we just hold that item on the agenda until our next meeting so we can hear what he has to say.
Okay?
Muted.
Dan, this is Alderman McComb.
Yes, go ahead.
Is Harold on here? I was wondering how much more rock they're gonna put on the wastewater treatment road.
Well, I can answer that.
they've got a little bit of dressing up to do, and excuse me a second. And not much more rock. I think they've got the 8 inches on there is what we were supposed to have had.
Oh,
And they're waiting. And they're waiting. The seed's supposed to be in this week, and they got to have a few days to get their equipment to go ahead and get the seed and the blanket on. And there's 2 steep as you pull in off the park road. One to the right, one to the left that gets rocked, and that may not get done till spring.
Okay, I
Unmuted.
a couple foot of rock on there. That's why I asked.
No,
Muted.
that's not what was called for according to the Princeton. What I was told today. I talked to Harold today.
Okay.
Okay.
Answer my question. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions from the council?
Unmuted.
Public comment? Hearing none with
Muted.
public works. Thank you, Mayor.
Unmuted.
Thank you, Mr. Bratton. That takes us to public safety, chaired by Mr. Russell Brown. Russell?
Okay, we don't have anything on the,
Muted.
on the new business. Consideration of declaring 2 5 kW gasoline generators as surplus. Which department do they belong to?
Those were emergency management generators. They were Vietnam War era generators that we replaced with diesel generators that are much more reliable. And so what I'd like to do is declare them surplus and take them to Canning's next auction.
I'd make that motion. All of them on the phone.
Alderman Bratton will second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
The ayes have it. Any public comments? If not, we'll go to personnel.
Unmuted.
Thank you very much, Russell. That takes us to personnel, chaired by Ms. Barbara Hughes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Muted.
Under old business, we, in our packet, we had a suggestive revision of language for the nepotism, section 9, part of the personnel policy. Does anyone have any question on that?
Yeah, Barb, how many times have we violated this in the past?
Oh, quite a few, but this will cover us.
Yeah,
I do have a question.
after the cows are out.
Yeah, exactly. The unfortunate news is it hadn't been updated in so long, Gary, that I think it was inadvertently violated, but this will cover us, and I thank you, John Urbis, for helping with the language there. Does anyone have any question or can?
Unmuted.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and this is with the definition of nepotism. And are we expanding this definition to
Muted.
anyone from the same household? Because my understanding is nepotism, it is blood or family related. But now we're expanding this to same household. Is that what we want to do, or we just want to get it into the nepotism by itself? That's my question.
Unmuted.
Is there other comment on that?
I suppose the example
I think we can
that
look at
Gloria's,
household, because we have parent, sibling, child, spouse.
Yeah. I think that what Gloria is saying though is, what if one household that has an employee has someone that's living with them that isn't a relative? Is that what you're saying, Gloria?
Exactly, that is not a blood relative, or it can be like a brother-in-law. Per se, I am employed by the city of Murphysboro. my husband is not. And let's say my brother-in-law, thank God, is not living here, but he will living here, and he asks for a job. We are not blood related, so that is not really nepotism. You see what I mean? So
Yes, I do understand that.
are we expanding that to the same house or people who live in the same household, or strictly nepotism? And that's the only.
I don't think we really meant to expand it. John, what's your thought process on that?
Yeah, I'm not, I didn't really look, I agree with Gloria. I think that's.
I do too, really.
That goes beyond what we were thinking.
I think that what we could probably do is just stop at sibling.
Yes.
And put a period there and just block out that anyone in the same household. Or you could put any blood relative in the same household. Either way would cover it and eliminate what you are bringing forward. And I don't think we really meant to eliminate a brother-in-law that lived with you. I don't think that, as far as I'm concerned, well, I'm using that as a, theory, but, as an example, but, we really weren't meaning to do that as when we, did the language.
Yeah, I just was trying to help, and actually that was my question. Are we expanding this to the same?
I don't believe we are expanding.
Just take the last section and then great job. Okay.
Well, and let's just take that last, or anyone from the same household off of that. And then, if there's no other questions, if there are, I'd be glad to address them. But if there are no other questions, I would love to see, hear a motion to, get this, approved.
So move.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Gloria. All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call.
Oh, yeah, we do the roll call. This is significant.
Alderman Hughes,
Yes.
Alderman Curry Witzman,
Yes.
Alderman Brown,
Yes.
Alderman Pearson,
Yes.
Alderman McComb,
Yes.
Alderman Urbis,
Yes.
Alderman Bratton,
Yes.
Alderman Bastian,
Yeah.
Alderman Campos,
Yes.
Alderman Pittman.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Muted.
Just informational, we're still working on contract with Public Works, but I think we're very close to getting that done. Mary, you don't have an update on that, do you?
Unmuted.
Needs to be in this section.
I did attempt to reach out to Charlie Ferguson twice today, hoping to have something finalized or a better update for the council tonight. I wasn't able to get in contact with him, but from all indications, it seems like we are very, very close.
Thank you. There is no
Muted.
that I know of. Any public comment for personnel? Hearing none, Mayor, I think we can.
Unmuted.
All right, thank you very much, Barb. That takes us to the mayor's report. Up first, we have the consideration of advisory referendum and ordinance prohibiting adult use cannabis establishments. I called around to all the council members today and discussed this particular item. I think I got to everybody on it. But in any case, one of the things that I suggest that we do with this is that we take a look at what other communities in Southern Illinois are doing, because the only motion that we will have is to prohibit. Essentially right now, if someone wanted to, because we never did vote to prohibit it, somebody could apply, but we don't have a license fee, we don't have any regulation on how far from a house of worship or how far from residential and these kinds of things. So I'm, of course, open to any discussion on it. The advisory referendum, there were some people who said they were confused by the question, but if you believe that people could read and understand the question properly, then 2/3 of people essentially said that they were okay with having a dispensary in Murphysboro. So that is just my perspective on it to kick things off, and I'm willing to listen to any other conversation or information the council wants to add.
Mayor, this is Alderman Bratton.
Go right ahead.
I have a question.
Muted.
Anybody ever figured out for every $100 worth of cannabis that's sold, actually how much the city will get for that?
Unmuted.
I do not know the answer to that question.
I believe the tax was about 20%.
Muted.
Not all of that would go to the municipality, but it is heavily taxed.
Unmuted.
Somewhere there ought to have a what percent
Muted.
what the city of Murphysboro will actually get for every $100 worth sold.
Solomon, curious,
But that's kind of important.
I'm sure that's available. I mean,
Unmuted.
I think there's an amount that you can
Muted.
assess.
Yeah.
Unmuted.
See, I looked into this, and if I can recall what I looked into, the city
Muted. Unmuted.
percent of the sales tax for their
Muted.
for their portion. It is very heavily taxed. It's the heaviest taxed cannabis law in the nation, from what I understand. And at this point, through October, the state had taken in $100 million in sales tax off of cannabis sales. Now they have 75 outlets right now, so Scott, you could do this math of how much each one of them sells, but that would be, the way I understand, my math said about $1.3 million for each one of those sales centers or sales outlets. So if you could figure 0.75% of whatever that would be in a year, that's what the city would get for their part if they did the $1.3 million. Like, that's the average of what there's been done in the state from my figures. I'm not a mathematician, but that's what I came up with.
Unmuted.
Well,
It is also very expensive to get one of those things, and the building to put it in would be,
Muted.
I'm with the mayor. I think we need to do a lot more looking at this thing before we jump in with both feet. We need,
Unmuted. Muted.
like you said, something about churches and schools and whatever in residential areas. There needs to be a lot of work done on this before we vote on it, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, Bill, can I add something to that?
Sure.
I mean, if there are those concerns there, which I'm certain mine are probably less than some, but I respect that. Right now, somebody could come in and do, if they had a license from the state, and open one without any restrictions from us, so we don't want to take too much time.
Yeah, I understand that. I think we need to act on, if we're gonna either prohibit the whole thing or act on what we're gonna do, probably within the next 30 or 60 days, but I'm not quite ready for it yet.
Unmuted.
You know, we put this on the, Mayor,
Yes, Alderman McComb.
this off on my, well, you know, we put it on a ballot for the people
Muted.
to vote on it, and they overwhelmingly passed it. What we just need to do is get the guidelines together where they can put a place in. I don't think anybody's beating down the doors to put one in Murphysboro right now anyway, but we just need to get together and get our guidelines in place. If somebody does want to come in, what guidelines they have to go by.
I agree.
Unmuted.
Well, I would like to ask, I don't,
Jay,
go ahead,
Jay
Ed.
Heller.
Yes, sir.
You know,
Muted.
you also have a zoning issue here. you need to figure out where you're going to allow these activities to occur. If you're going to allow them, you have to, besides figuring out what you're going to allow, you have to figure out where you're going to allow them. So I think that your smart move is to make a temporary move to prohibit any activity pending determination of how you're going to set up your licensing and how you're going to set up your zoning.
Well,
And
I mean,
because
I'm
what you
willing
don't want
to
to have
take-
happen, Jay, what you don't want to have happen is you don't want to have somebody come in, set something up, try to set something up ahead of zoning, where they're allowed to keep it there because they predated zoning.
Unmuted.
And I'm not in favor. This is not a. I'm just talking about keeping the playing field in your hands to let it play out.
I am a little afraid that if we
Muted.
vote to prohibit it, that it's going to cause a lot of controversy with people that voted not to prohibit it. And I understand where you're coming from, Ed, because someone could come in and set it up without any ordinances or any zoning recommendations from us, and they'd grandfather in because we didn't have anything. But I also think that the people were very overwhelmingly in favor of having it, and I don't want them to misconceive the vote of us saying, let's prohibit this until.
Art, I think that's a really good point. But I think you can say that, you can solve that by saying you could pass a resolution and put a moratorium on the question for X days.
Okay.
While the administration and the council work out a program for how we're going to do it.
And I would be in favor of that, but I would not be in favor of just saying we're not allowing it. And I think it needs to be very explicit. It doesn't need to just be until we do da-da-da. I think it needs to be very explicit, or you may really infuriate a lot of constituents.
Unmuted.
I think, if I may, this is Alderman Bratton. I'd like to say something. I think that Mr. Heller and Barb both are on the right track. I think what our city attorney is trying to do is to protect us
Yes.
from having one right next door to a church or right next door to this, that, or whatever. So I think that somebody needs to make a motion to what Ed said, that there can be no blah, blah, blah until the council votes on it or at this time.
How about
Mayor?
Mayor, this Alderman McComb.
Yes, sir.
Don't we have an ordinance right now prohibiting it?
We-
No.
Yes, right.
No. No. No.
You voted to
No,
prohibit
there's
it.
no.
No,
we
we
don't.
prohibited
We did
it.
not.
And we have not
Motion.
changed that vote yet.
The motion that I made was to allow it, and we voted to not allow it. We did not vote to prohibit it specifically.
Well, I mean,
So-
you don't think nobody can come in right now and set one up, can they? Because we still got it where we were prohibited.
No.
I mean,
Procedurally, Gary, I don't think that anybody could successfully meander through the procedures at this point to get a license. But I think it would be smart for the city to set a time period for itself to develop how it's going to do it and to declare that nothing can happen in the meantime until it does it, but to put itself, and you guys are, you got the pulse, set the number of days, 90 days, is that it? For us to come up with a proposal, and unless we extend it. Always keep for ourselves the ability to extend that time.
I mean, in my opinion, if we gather the ordinances from the other local municipalities, we look at how it with, you know, what we do with liquor stores, and I think we could move. I mean, why isn't that something we could do next meeting?
I agree.
Oh,
We have budget.
I think this is Alderman Bratton. If we are going to pay a city attorney what we pay him, and we don't always have to agree 100% on that, but let's take his advice, or he has a fool for a client. It's my opinion. If we can get it done faster than that, the attorney come back and said, no, and whoever's going to work on that to figure it out can come back and say, we've got it all put together. Here it is. City council votes on it. More than likely it's going to pass. Or no, I'm not for it, but more than likely it's going to pass. I'll still be on the council when you vote. But hey, let's let it play out. Nobody's saying.
So,
I agree.
so
Mayor, let's
this,
get it
this
on
is
the
not,
second meeting in January. That give us plenty of time, wouldn't it?
I agree. I was thinking that meanwhile, just to protect the best interests of the people in town, because you don't want a business of that next to your house, I'm sure of. Just put a moratorium. That's it. And then the town will have until January 30th to finalize a decision on the regulations about it.
This is Mayor Stevens
Well,
here.
you-
It would seem like to me that the motion that needs to be made is that the city adopt a moratorium on the adult use cannabis establishments for 60 days while we review other ordinances and craft a policy for the city of Murphysboro.
I'd make that in the motion as long as you got the right in there that we have the right to extend the time on it if needed.
I mean, that's,
Second.
I'd make that a motion.
all right.
This is Alderman Beckley from the applicant. Mayor, could you please repeat that motion that they're, I've been trying to come 10 minutes, and I would like to know what that motion is again, please.
Yeah, that's no problem. I know there's been a lot of crosstalk, and again, I'm sorry for the difficulties in these types of meetings, but the motion is for the council to adopt a 60-day moratorium on adult use cannabis establishments, as long as our city attorney believes that that's a valid motion, a 60-day moratorium, so that we can allow ourselves the time to gather up other area ordinances and take a look at what it is that we want to do here in Murphysboro. Ed, that's not the most artfully worded motion I've ever stated before, but does that get the job done in your eyes?
It does get the job done, and we will prepare it, but we will do it as an ordinance. We need to do it as an ordinance to prohibit any action for a period of 60 days pending further action.
All right, so that is the motion and the second.
Roll call vote.
I'd make that motion, Ed.
I believe we already had a motion and a second on that item. So we have a call for a roll call vote. Clerk Hunziker.
Alderman Hughes,
Yes.
Alderman Curry Witzman,
Yes.
Alderman Brown,
Yes.
Alderman Pearson,
Yes, but I have a question. Are we going to, is the motion, like Ed said, to prohibit or to put a moratorium? I'm confused at what we're voting on.
Well, the moratorium, Bill, the moratorium means to prohibit any action to
Is that
establish.
is that the way the motion is worded?
Yes.
But that should be the way the motion is worded, to prohibit any establishment of any activity.
With that motion, I will vote yes.
Alderman McComb,
Yeah, I'm the same way. If that's a motion, I'll vote yes.
Alderman Urbis,
Yes.
Alderman Bratton,
Yes.
Alderman Bastian,
Yes, as long as it's worded.
Alderman Campos,
Yes.
Alderman Pittman.
No.
Okay. Ed, would you send me your wording for that, please?
I will.
Thank you.
All right, motion carries. Up next, we have the consideration of an ordinance amending the hours of operation for liquor establishments. I ask that this be put on the agenda for conversation. On October the 1st of this year, there were 1,700 people in the hospital with COVID in the state of Illinois. Today, there is a record 6,175. On October the 1st, there were 400 ICU COVID patients. Today, there's 1,200. The positivity rate is at a record high. And I have had people from, I have to try to represent all aspects of the community, and I have had people from healthcare reach out to me. We, of course, have St. Joe Hospital here in this community. I have had frontline office and nurse workers reach out to me. I've had members of families who've lost loved ones reach out to me and ask me, what we are doing to try to curb the spread of coronavirus. One of the specific things that people have come to me with is that some of our bars are not closing at 11 p.m. as outlined by the current Tier 3 mitigations that are suggested by the state of Illinois. And this ordinance would essentially codify those at the city level. In bars, you typically have young people who are not as concerned about COVID. The later the night gets, the less likely it is for people to do the social distancing and masking and things. Minnesota today closed all of their bars and restaurants completely for 4 weeks. And so I brought this because people have asked me to bring it, and because frankly I think it is a very minimal thing for us to consider. I know that there are a number of people on the line likely from some of those businesses, and I want to make sure they have an opportunity to speak this evening. But I'll first go to our attorney, Mr. Heller. And Ed, is there anything special about this ordinance that's worth sharing outside of the scope of what I just mentioned?
Well, the main thing about this ordinance, the way it's at this point, is that it keeps
Unmuted.
hours until the change of closing hours is put back on the table and changed again. And so this ordinance for changing hours is not triggered to a release at some particular point in time, and I'm not sure it can be. I think the change in hours reflects the seriousness of where we are, and I think the council, if it makes this change, should be prepared to change back as soon as the exigencies we're in now let up. This is not a change that's tempered with it's only for 120 days. This is a change of hours when bars have to close.
All right, well, I want to go to the council members individually so we can avoid some of the crosstalk and just get a sense of what the members of the council have to say on the matter. And in no particular order, I'll start with Mr. McComb.
Yeah, I had COVID, and I know how I caught mine, and it was from us guys playing cards with 4 out of 7 caught the COVID, and one has since passed away. And I know that the people in the bars, when they got the more to drink, the closer they get to each other. And I think, Mayor, can't you do this on your own without I mean, I know you want our opinion on this, but you being the liquor commissioner, you can set these hours on your own, but I'm all in favor of it. I know the state has shut off the gambling machines, so I'm in favor of what you're wanting to do.
Thank you, Mr. McComb. I don't know whether I have the authority to do that on my own or not, but I felt like I always try my best to, anytime something could be controversial, I would prefer to bring it to the council so that nobody could say that I was acting in some kind of, lone wolf fashion or whatever. That
Well,
being,
I think all the council members respect you for that too.
well, sometimes I don't get that right, but I try to make that a practice. So, thank you, Gary. Do you have anything else?
No, that's it. I'm in favor of it.
All right. I'll go to Mr. Urbis.
Mayor, I'm generally in favor of it. Sorry, I agree with Mr. Heller that there should be, I think this is more of an emergency measure. Section 2 does say until such time as amended. So I don't know if we need additional language there or not, but I did have what's a Class M license and why is that different?
I do not recall off the top of my head. If I was going to guess, because I don't have those dedicated to memory, I think a Class M may be a brewery license, but I'm not exactly sure.
Distinct bars which are distributing drinks, individual drinks, versus
A Class M liquor license covers Big Muddy Brewery.
oh, okay. Okay. And I'm sorry, I can't speak intelligently about what that means in this discussion.
Well, I guess my question would be, why would we not allow them to stay up till 11 o'clock as well? But
Well, I know that they're not
I
open
don't
past
think-
11
I don't know
o'clock
why we
anyway.
would leave- Yeah, I doubt they're open after 11 o'clock.
I apologize. I am having some connection issues on my end at this moment. Mr. Urbis, can you hear me?
can you hear me?
I think I'm getting a better connection back now. Again, I apologize for the issues.
Yeah, that was just my question on why the M was different. And then I think in Dayton, it should say Central Daylight Time, not just daylight savings time.
All right, I believe I'm back connected again.
We can take care of him.
All right, John, is that all you had?
Yes, I would be in favor of that. Thank you.
All right, I'll go to Mr. Pearson.
Okay, I just wish they were tougher than they are myself, and I wish that we would have had the guts enough to pass an ordinance months ago that would have covered a whole lot more than we did. But yeah, this is okay with me. I just wish it was even a little tougher. I wouldn't be opposed to closing them entirely until this thing is over. But if that's the ordinance you want to do now, it's okay. I mean, I'll vote for that one.
Thank you, Bill. I'll go to Ms. Campos.
Thank you, Mayor. And I really appreciate your concern and all members of the council. There are a few things that we need to also take in consideration. Many of bars owners and liquor license establishments in our city, they it's a way of living. Everything in the business, oh, sorry, there's services, actually on the whole services environment or world, this have been reduced to almost a collapse level. I am assuming that the bar owners want to get this, and they will accept to something reasonable, but we cannot say we will close you down. We can say, what do you like for this mitigation? How far do you want it to go? From, to close at 11 p.m. For 4 weeks? What is the pleasure of the council? Because I'm telling you, as a business owner, and really, my heart goes to everybody who have got the COVID and lost their life. I know what is that. Okay? And we all know what is it. And the grieving process is not easy. But also, how far are we going to take this out? My business, I had a business for 32 years for which my husband and I raised a family and never had to ask for any kind of welfare. Cleaning houses, okay? My business is gone. My business is gone. And its services. It could not survive the mitigations and everything else related to this pandemic. And I am accepting it. But because I was less fortunate, income-wise, doesn't mean that I'm going to bring somebody else down. So we need to have these mitigations actually put a beginning and an end. But we cannot extend this. Let everybody close their business like I had to do it whenever you see that you cannot do it anymore. But let's not choke them anymore. And that is my point. We are a council to guide, to regulate, but we are not people's babysitter. And we all have responsibilities about wearing our mask, washing our hands, and keeping our distance. So, yeah, I understand you want to bar, and after 11 p.m., you forget about not staying close. And I'm sure that the bar owners will understand. But let's have a beginning and let's have an end. Let's define this. Let's not choke them anymore because our economy, our services are almost done. That's all I have to say. Let's keep that in consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. Appreciate that. We'll go to W.J. Pittman.
Thank you, Mayor. I think from my angle on it is, I think it's something that becomes an enforcement nightmare for us. No way to enforce it is, going to be a fast process unless we just, take away liquor licenses, and I don't think that's your intent or, what anybody on the council would want. I'm not in favor of making ordinances that we don't plan on enforcing, but I think we've talked about that in the past. I would be strongly in favor of a resolution that we, as a city, strongly urge our businesses again to follow state mitigation guidelines, but, I would not be in favor of an ordinance.
Thank you, W.J. I go to Mike Bastian.
Thank you, Mayor. I agree that we need to get control of it. I'm not opposed to changing the ordinance to have them close at 11, but is there any way in the ordinance we can make it temporary? I mean, can we temporarily do that, or does it have to be permanent until we go back and change it again? Attorney Heller, could you answer that for me?
Mike, the answer to that question would be there's not been a determination yet about that. The governor's orders, the governor's rules have not been one way or the other ever decided whether they're okay or not at the appellate court level. So, you know, you need to make the rules you want and for the people, and then trust that the process will support those rules.
I guess, Mayor, I'm not opposed to supporting you. I do think it could be your decision. You do issue liquor license, and you know, with our approval or disapproval. However, I think if we're going to change the ordinance, that we can't change it, that we have to enforce it. I know that'll be a nightmare, but I for one get tired of making ordinances that we don't enforce. So I have to agree with Alderman Pittman on that. But overall, I guess I would be in favor of it at this point in time.
Well, when you talk about time limits, thank you very much, Mr. Bastian. It would seem like to me that we would enact this ordinance for 2 weeks, and so that, I mean, this shouldn't be something that we just fire and forget. It should be something that we consider, and then we come back and reconsider at, you know, every council meeting based upon whatever the latest information is. And so that is what I would think would be appropriate.
Yeah, and I can agree with that, Mayor, and I can go along with that. But I guess my question, if we do it, are we going to enforce it, or are we going to turn our backs to the people? Because it's my understanding from you, you had indicated that you had spoken to all the establishments, and they were all in agreement except one. So if everybody else abides by our ordinance and one particular one don't, I think that we have to enforce that. We can't just turn our back against, you know. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bastian. I'll go to Ms. Curry-Witzman.
That was also what Alderman Bastian stated. My concern is that although I'm in agreement with the ordinance, as long as we can enforce it, and also once the, you know, if the state, you know, mitigations change 3 weeks from now on a Wednesday, is there any way that we can tie this ordinance to those mitigations so we don't have to wait like in the, you know, additional 7 days or whatever to come together and vote and change it back as a city?
Mr. Heller?
Mayor? Yes, thank you. We could not do that because we don't want to tie it to anything other than we meet twice a month. We can change ourselves and change our official position twice a month. We don't want to tie our decision to somebody else's future political decisions. And I'm not saying politics, one or the other, okay? For ourselves, we want to control our decisions based on our information, not anything having to do with some other person's decision. So, do it in 30 days.
As long as it's not a permanent one, and we can change it based on, I guess, numbers going up or resolving or going down, then I would say yes.
We meet twice a month. And so, but you can't have businesses making their decisions based on every 2 weeks whim. You have to decide there how you're going to do this. I think the simple way to do this is a short term. Same thing with marijuana things, short term, as opposed to changing the hours permanently, requiring a change back. And Will, I apologize, I haven't had a chance to talk to you about that.
Well, that's okay. Do you have anything else, Attorney Heller?
No, sir.
Do you have anything else, Jance?
No, that's all.
All right, we'll go to Mr. Russell Brown.
Yeah, Mayor, I don't have a problem with dying, but I know everybody's about to shut their business down because they can't keep it up if they ain't making no money. But if you go around these bars now, most of the people out there about 9 to 10 o'clock because ain't nobody in there. Well, I agree with Ed and Gary and White. I don't have a problem with the closing at 11.
All right, Russell, thank you very much. I'm trying to keep my head straight here. Ms. Hughes?
Yes. Yes, thank you, Mayor. I don't have a problem with closing with 11. I do have a lot of heartfelt feelings about hurting businesses because I know that a lot of these people make a good amount of money between 11 and 1 o'clock. But also, I think we
Gina, who
have
am I
to keep
missing?
public safety in mind. I too, like Alderman Bastion, worry about are we going to be able to enforce it. I've been a big advocate in the past of why are we making an ordinance that we can't really enforce, and you know, as much as I want them to adhere to what the governor is really recommending, I wonder if we can enforce it. I don't know if Chief Ellermeyer is on the call or not, and if he has any comment on how he thinks we could enforce this.
Well, he is here in the council chambers with us, and I think there's really two ways that you could go about it. I think one is I'm not going to put our police department in a situation where they're going into bars who are violating on the first night and, you know, trying to roust people out. But I think that an observation could be made, and then a communication could be made with that business, whether it be from me or from the city attorney or whomever, saying this is the ordinance that we passed, here's how long it's in place, and here are the penalties that could come into play if this continues. Chief Ellermeyer, do you agree?
Yeah, I've dealt with these before, and it's no problem whatsoever going in the establishment and shutting them completely down if that's what we have to do. We can work with them, like you said at first, but you know, once, you know, that's your liquor license in there along with the state liquor license. So once we would remove that, then they're shut down. If that's what it would have to come to, that wouldn't be any problem enforcing it from that end. Also, if you guys would recognize that when you have your closing time as normal, usually there's an extra half an hour for everybody to exit the building. So of course, if you guys watch yourself and see people there at 11:20, 11:30, you know, that could be your workers leaving because there's a little, you know, set aside for them to be able to get out of the bar and leave.
Okay.
All right, so I would be in favor of it if Chief Ellermeyer thinks that it is feasible for him to be able to monitor it and to enforce it. Thank you.
Mr. Bratton?
I don't have a problem with it. I think that our governor picks and chooses what we should close and not shut down.
I agree with that.
You know, I don't have a problem with this ordinance. I mean, I think that I often wonder why I often wonder why they closed the restaurant, but the bars, they didn't close them. I guess there are too many politicians like to drink. I'm for it. Go ahead.
All right, well, I know we have several members of the public here, and I want to make sure that they have the opportunity to express themselves. So if there are members of the public that want to address this item, I'd welcome their comment at this time.
Yeah, this is Rip Thomas. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I just want to tell you, we've been there close to 100 years. And I'm sure when you guys have this COVID thing going on, each and every one of you drew a check for almost 4 months. We got nothing. No unemployment, no nothing. We paid our employees. We got nothing. A lot of times we do $300 to $400 of business a day. Sometimes that business is between 11 and 2 in the evening. We might do $200 to $300. Now I'm going to get that shut off. I'm going to do $100 a day. After 100 years, as a council, you guys are all going to close this down.
I want to know what the spread of, how can they prove that the spread of...
Yeah, and how can they prove that it comes in our bar after 11? I haven't had a single person in my bar at all said that they have.
I want them to prove it. And then we need a court order. Can I still hear you? Can you still hear you?
I'm just trying to determine, Rip, if you had another question. I'm not just trying to talk over you.
I want proof that...
No, we just want proof that it spreads after 11 more. I want cold hard proof of it. Just show me one case. One case. So that whenever I decide to fold up and leave shop, at least I'll know, hey, at least we tried.
All right. Is there other comment from the public on the call this evening? I give folks an opportunity because I know that sometimes it's hard to get phones unmuted and that sort of thing.
All I'm asking is try to go 4 or 5 months with zero money. Right now, you got to stop all the money you have, but your bills keep rolling in. And then turn around and get shut down again. It's not fair.
Well, I appreciate, and this is, I mean, I realize that this is probably not going to be popular, or maybe it will be. I don't know. It's a difficult decision, but we as a council, of course, have to take the concerns that are expressed to us by all sorts of various perspectives, and I can't ignore the calls to my office to try to address these issues. And so that's really all the rest that I have to say.
I realize all that. You get a lot of calls and complaints, and nobody's any proof.
Is there any other comment from the members of the City Council? Any other comment from the public? All right, so Attorney Heller, I don't know that I have a perfect clarity about should we get a motion on this if we have thoroughly included a limiting time frame or if we have not.
Mayor, I think you need to have a clear motion as a result of all this discussion, perhaps a new clear motion to establish a moratorium on which no cannabis operations can occur for a period of X, you guys X days, while we need 90 to 120 days to get the zoning and all that kind of stuff. We haven't even talked about this thing yet.
Ed, just to get you back on track here, I'm not sure where you got off track, but we're discussing the ordinance on the operation for liquor establishments.
Oh, excuse me. The mayor on that one, I wish, this is a change of time. So it ought to be, the council ought to understand in changing this time that it's going to come back up soon.
All right, so essentially, if adopted, I would request that this remain on every agenda moving forward so that it can be reconsidered.
At any time.
Right. And if something would happen, we can always call a special meeting sooner than that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, I can't make a motion, but if there is a motion on the ordinance, I'd entertain one. All right, well, hearing no motion, I presume that the motion does not carry. All right, well, I appreciate everyone's discussion on the matter. That will take me to council member requests, and I'll go to Mr. Bastian. Mr. Bratton.
I have none.
Mr. Brown.
No.
Ms. Hughes.
I don't have anything except I would like to thank Brian for these Chromebooks. They are really very, very nice. And if you haven't hooked yours up yet or gotten yourself connected to your own internet at home, you should try it because they are really nice.
Yes,
Thanks,
thank you.
Brian.
Thank you very much, Brian, on that. We appreciate it.
No problem. I'm happy to do it, and I apologize for some of the technical issues this evening. We had some issues in the council room and had to make do at the last minute to get audio, so hopefully we'll have that issue with the echo improved for next meeting.
Thank you, Brian. Mr. McComb?
I have nothing, Mayor. Everybody stay safe and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Thank you, Gary. Mr. Urbis?
I just want to echo the comments, thanking Brian for the Chromebooks. It does make the meeting much easier to follow and participate in remotely. So thank you, Brian.
Ms. Curry-Witzman?
I don't have anything.
Ms. Campos?
Wrong button. Okay. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Gloria. Mr. Bratton?
You've already asked me, but I still don't have anything.
Okay, well, I wanted to double check. It's been a long day. Mr. Pittman?
I have nothing, Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Pearson.
Mr. Pearson?
No.
All right. I'll go to department head request. Mr. Lee?
I have nothing.
Mr. Mills? Mr. Mills?
I have nothing. Thank you.
Okay. Chief McBride?
Yes, Mayor, I just wanted to say that early in the year, you guys purchased thermal cameras for us, and I want to tell you that we've used them several times already this year, but today we were called down to Walgreens for an electrical smell that they thought was in one of their rooftop units. We checked that and then didn't find anything. We later located just a little circulating fan down in the pharmacy that nobody had noticed was not spinning anymore, but it was still plugged in. It was slowly building. Temperature was already up to 160 degrees, and surely overnight it hadn't been left in that condition. Probably would have started a fire in the pharmacy. Now that would have been quickly put out by the sprinkler system, but the damage that could have occurred would have been into the multiple tens of thousands of dollars with the loss of medication and so forth that would have occurred. So just goes to show that having good equipment prevents property damage and the loss of sales tax revenue for the city.
Thank you very much, Chief. Appreciate that greatly. Chief Ellemeyer here in the council chamber has nothing to report. We'll go to Ms. Volley.
I
would just like to thank the council for further considering the security measures at the Dom building. Thank you and have a good Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Mr. Brown?
Already answered no.
Oh, okay, I just thought I heard you say something else, excuse me. Mr. Evans?
Nothing, Mayor.
Mr. Sheffer?
I have nothing, Mayor.
Mr. Kennedy?
Nothing.
Mr. Manwaring?
I have nothing.
Mr. Gladson?
I have nothing, thank you.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
Mayor,
Yes.
this is Gloria. I'm wondering.